Hello, so we're here for today's video, or this week's video, which is all about what do we do in the session with the osteopath. What do you do when you come to see me? And I've got to make it really clear at this point that I'm not speaking for all osteopaths. There are going to be some osteopaths who hear this and think, no, that's not what I do at all. And there'll be some osteopaths that might think, okay, wow, that sounds quite good, I'd quite like to do that. So this is purely what I do here at Osteopathy Unlimited. Okay, so usually what happens is that when we first meet, we're going to spend an hour sat down having a conversation with each other. I'm going to ask you some questions and I'm going to listen to what you've got to tell me, and we're going to be finding out all about the things that you're feeling at the moment, what the symptoms are and how it's affecting your life, if there's any obvious things that are stopping you from doing things. We want to know about how well you can still function. So can you still get out of bed? Can you still wash yourself? Can you still do all the stuff, right? And once we've got all that information about what's actually going on, that gives us some clues as to what might be happening, but it doesn't tell us what's going on. But we need to understand how well you're sleeping. We need to understand whether you've got nerve entrapment, pins and needles and all those sorts of things. We're going to ask about any previous operations, if this sort of pain that you're having or these symptoms that you're having have been recurrent, or if they're the first time you've had it. And so we want to get as much information as we can from that conversation. And then we start the process of trying to work out what's really going on. And that comes down in three main components. There's three real components to what we do. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start looking at your posture and looking at how you move. Nobody's got perfect posture. Nobody moves perfectly well. You can't. It's impossible. But what we're going to do is we're going to see how close to perfect you are. And we do that in a simple way. We take a video of you walking, yeah, and we take images, photographs of you from the front and the side, and then we look at those together and we see how your structure is balanced and how it's being used in resistance to gravity. And the reason we do that is because the more efficiently you can resist gravity and move with more efficiency, the less wear and tear you're going to build up on your body. Yeah? So if you're trying to heal, if you're trying to improve mobility, it's a really, really wise thing to try and reduce the amount of wear and tear that you're putting your body through in a day. Yeah, so that's the first thing that we look at. The second thing that we do, is my favorite part, is we map out how well your brain is communicating with your body, which is way simpler than it sounds. It's a series of neurological tests, which have got big fancy words that make me sound cleverer than I am, but in reality what we're doing is getting you to do certain things. So it might be pushing against my arm, or it might be pushing against your leg. Whatever it is that we're testing, we'll ask you to do. Now, if your brain can generate electricity and get it down your spinal cord into your body, and you can do the thing that I'm asking you to do really, really well, then we know that pathway is clear, and therefore you've got good communication between your brain and your body. And that's essential. If you want healing processes to work really well, you need crystal clear communication between that nervous system and the tissue that's being involved, whether that's an organ or a muscle or a ligament or whatever it is. If, however, we can apply compression along that nerve and we find that you are unable to do the thing that I'm asking you to do, then it means that we have a lesion somewhere, which would be a bit like if you think of a hose pipe, if you think of your brain as a tap, and those nerves are hose pipes sending water, or in the brain's case, electrical signals, to your garden, or in this case, your muscles or your bones or your liver. If that water can get through completely clear, you don't have a problem with your garden, your veggies grow, everything's nice. If there's a kink in a hose pipe, or somebody's standing on the hose pipe, then it means that the flow of water, or the flow of electricity in the nervous system, for example, doesn't get through so well. And that means you've got impaired function, you've got restriction on your healing processes being coordinated effectively. So in other words, we're going to be testing your gait cycle and your posture and your movements to see how much wear and tear you're building up in a day. That's before you have an injury. So ideally we want to have a low wear and tear. And then we're going to test how well your brain and body communicates to see how well your body's capable of healing. So we want that up here nice and high. So if you've got a good healing process working and you've got low wear and tear, then day by day by day, your healing processes can just set about doing the magic that they do, and your symptoms and your problems heal themselves, right? If, like most people in this world, you're probably moving inefficiently and you've probably got various different nerve entrapment somewhere, which means your healing processes are slowing down. So now if your healing processes are running lower or slower than your wear and tear level, day by day by day, your body is undergoing degenerative change, and it will be your weakest link, the weakest part of your structure that breaks. Yeah, remember, we pull the chain, it's the weakest link that breaks. And so we'll be mapping those two things. For most people, that's enough. For most people, that's enough to get things working really well, and that's brilliant. But there is a third component as well. We use naturopathy here, which is really trying to get your habits to be more aligned with what your body's DNA is familiar with dealing with, right? So it sounds a bit ambiguous and a bit hippified, but what it basically means is if your brain and body are communicating well and you're moving efficiently, so you've got low wear and tear, but you're still not getting better, it means that there's something else that might be slightly out of balance, and it's probably got something to do with your internal chemistry. So it might be that you're dehydrated, chronically dehydrated. It might mean that you're eating the wrong things at the wrong times of day. It might mean that you're not getting enough sleep. It might mean that you're engaging in the wrong kind of relationships. You know, there's just so many factors that go into affecting people's abilities to heal. We may never be able to get to the bottom of it, but we can start looking at the main ones that work for the majority of people. So we're going to set about making progress, definitely in those first two, definitely in the movement and the wear and the healing processes. And then if people are interested and they want to engage in the advice about, you know, adequate exposure to natural sunlight, making sure that you've got your priorities right in life, so that you're not spending major time worrying about minor things, you know. Not necessarily trying to remove stress from people's lives, but trying to reduce it as much as possible. And you set those things about in the right way, and people just start skyrocketing. If they're in pain or they're restricted, then they get much better. If they're not in pain and restricted, they still improve. And that's really, really good to get that feedback, because people have no idea how good they're supposed to feel until you start figuring this stuff out and working on it. So there you go. There's a bit about what I do. Yeah, there's loads of different techniques that I use to help people get the ball rolling, and I'll be sharing some of those with you at some point as well. So there you are. There's today's video. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed making this one, and I look forward to seeing you in another one. Okay, bye for now.